Okay, attendees, we have Tammy. Yay! Yes, good. Thank you all for your patience. I had a stressful morning. Everything I turned on, my camera didn't work, my PowerPoint didn't work. It was one of those mornings, I had to change my shirt that I'm not sitting here completely sweaty. But I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very, very happy to share with you my passion for ozone. And, since we started working with ozone, it's been the biggest feedback giver. Like when you sell devices and you give explanations, you sometimes don't connect with people because it's all online and it's somewhere. It's not, like direct contact. You don't get the feedback. And the only thing that really consistently comes in, Marcus, I had such great results with ozone, and it's uplifting. So if you have any good results, please share them here. Let me know. Send me an email. And I'll talk about before and after photos because very few of you do that. We start using things, but we don't check. So it would be really nice if you start using fresh and you would go through a protocol that you take images before or describe how you feel before and then go through. And that's where I would like to start a poll at first. And this is the first one. You should see it in your screen on the right-hand side. Have you had ozone treatments before? And it's something that you can just let me know. No, not yet. Yeah, yes, but I did not really know I was doing that with me for a long time. Yes, I did ozone treatments and I had it in the clinic, IV, major autohemotherapy. So if you I need to publish. So now you see two, not only me, and now you can go through and click whichever one you think is most adequate for you. Yes, I had ozone home treatments, and no, not yet. Woo, that's a big portion. Okay, that's quite significant. I'll share those polls with you so that you can see. It's kind of intimidating. Yes, but I did not really know what I was doing. That's only 3%, so we're a small minority. I I'd try it out and see what happens, but until I really got into it, it took a while. Okay, so most people not yet, and we just wait another minute, and then I'll give you another one. Who is worried about using ozone? Who is scared and fearful about ozone? And then we'll look at that as well. And I'm just turning on chat in the meantime. God, we have Karen, Paula from Hudson, New York. Yes, at home and clinic. Just bought one. My ears, dog, paw. I love it. So Deborah will mark if you have any questions during the webinar. When you have any questions, Deborah will mark them for me with a red dot so that we can come back. And I would really like if you have questions that you focus today on subject. We talk about leaky gut in a separate video. We talk about infectious diseases and all the, bacterial infections, viral infections in a separate. I really try to hone in onto a concept of ozone, not just, in general, but really hone in so that you have the most benefit of using it. So are we supposed to know your website? Richard, not right now. If you're on the webinar, that's plenty. I'll send you the links and everything during the webinar. So let me just switch over the webinar. We have 47% not yet. We have 6% yes, but I did not really know what I was doing. 28% yes, I did ozone treatments, and 17% of you had it in the clinic. So that's very good. That is very exciting to hear. And now let me just go back to polls and go the last one while I start my slideshow, because I really would like to know if that's a problem that we have to address You see the results. Are you fearful, nervous, worried about using ozone? It doesn't need to be fearful. Just, do I need an oxygen bottle? Can that fall over? All the things that you might be concerned about. Not really. Good. So you're the brave bunch. I'm excited about that. Okay, I'm not, and to decide. So maybe a little bit. Okay, very cool. We'll cover everything you want to know to make that work. And let me go now and turn on my slideshow again so that we get through, because I have a whole lot of information for you and some really critical things. What we do today is wound healing. As you can see, infected wounds, diabetic neuropathy, lesions, ulcers, warts, pimples, radiation burns, toenail fungus, also hair, mucous membrane healing for sinus, mostly gut, and I will do that later. We also talk about hemorrhoids, for example, and then topical applications on how to do it. And I have a second camera that I can turn on where I can show you not, rectal insufflations, but the other things. So let's get started. Next slide. For those of you who don't know me, I've been researching cancer now since 20 years. It's 20 years, and it was, I always said 8 years and 8 years, and it was 10 years long, 8 years. And then we noticed I've been so many times around the world, and just 2 years ago, I went around just for ozone, visiting every ozone doctor that was known, and did interviews, went to conferences in all countries to put together all the information on ozone, because I noticed that since we've been teaching about ozone, the feedback was so great. So I have a whole lot of interviews that I'm still to edit, and so that's our passion for ozone. It's the Ozone Academy, O3 Academy, if you want to go, o3academy.com. That will teach you about ozone. And we also have an academy for PMF. We had to separate and split because it was just all too confusing. And the Hyperthermia Academy for fever treatment. And they are all something I'm extremely passionate about. When you look at ozone, I circled here my flower power hippie chart, as my children always called it. It's my way of thinking. I need structure. I need what are the different causes and problems that make us sick, and how do we address them? So when I put those little circles, the top left one, as you can see, and I don't know if I can do that now, we just do here stress, no influence. Trauma and mental problems, no influence. If I look at deficiencies down here, you still need to take your supplements and things. But if you look at the rest, it's quite significant how powerful ozone is. Oxygenation, probably one of the key factors. It balances out hormonal problems, and that's a very powerful thing. It is used as a cancer treatment or as an adjunct treatment to help with cancer patients. And we have a separate webinar on cancer. Infectious diseases, it's probably one of the best treatments. In regards to lifestyle, Dr. Schallenberger always said it's like a compensation. Instead of doing exercise, you can do ozone because it's exercise in an insufflation bag. And it is true because it actually creates the same oxidative stress as if you do exercise. And as you do more and more rectal insufflations or major autohemotherapy, the more your energy levels go up, your resilience go up, your energy absorption, your oxygen absorption goes up, and therefore you feel stronger and fitter. It balances out your pH. And this is something a lot of people don't think about. You eat alkalining food, all the greens and all the things that alkaline your body, it's still converted into sugar. So whether you eat normal sugar or you eat slow converting sugar, it's just how long it takes to be converted into glucose. The cells only transform glucose into energy. And what do they need as a second component? Oxygen. So as soon as they combine oxygen and glucose, they produce ATP in the Krebs cycle. And that means as soon as I do that, my energy levels go up. I have a lot more energy, more ATP, and less fermentation. Now, if you have less oxygen and a lot of glucose, then your body starts fermenting that glucose, and that leads to low ATP, high acidity. We had so many cancer patients come to us and said, I'm eating just only green, and still, if I look at my mouth saliva and urine saliva, I'm still highly acidic. What's the problem? Once they started to use ozone or hyperbaric oxygen and exercise outside, fresh air, penetration, then they started to alkaline. So it's not just your alkaline food and slow converting sugar, it's also the oxygen level that you need in order to become alkaline. So pH balance, it reduces inflammation dramatically. It's in regards to diet, when you look at allergies and food sensitivities and leaky gut and all of those things, when we do the leaky gut protocol, you realize how it heals the membrane, and I'll show you tests before, after glucose and mannitol, how it actually really changes gut permeability. So gut health, very important. It's used, what is this circle up there? Let me just move that little, I can't see it. It's detox treatments. It's used as a detox for bacteria, for, they pee and poo, as I always say. They still produce a lot of toxic waste. And we are, what is my Siri doing here? And we are using ozone as a detox for neurotoxins and for plastic toxicity, and it's used in dental work. Now, that's a huge variety of different things where you can use ozone and use it at home, and we would like to show you how and why. So let me go. And I have to apologize. Some of the pictures are really gross, and you will realize that people wait way too long or don't find a solution until it's very late. And I found I get often pictures from you guys sent, which is, kind of nice of you, and I love you for it. But some of them are really intense. And, if you know someone that is at a starting point, with an ulcer or a lesion or diabetic foot, don't hesitate to suggest, send them to one of the webinars, send them to one of the trainings. We'll talk about that at the end, and get even rewarded if they buy something. But it is a very important factor that we don't wait until the very, very last moment until we start. And you will find on the website, on the O3 Academy, you will find research studies, images, and the time frame, what they used for treatments. For example, here was ozone water, oil to prevent bagging daily. And it was in 35 days from a very, very inflamed foot that didn't heal for a long time, all the way to very good. And let me just turn off shortly my camera that I don't block the pictures. But that was very significant. Now, that's how I got introduced at a younger age, because my father had diabetic neuropathy, and he had always open legs, always watery, open legs, painful. And as soon as he bumped them a little bit, they started to bleed and water and didn't heal up. His skin was like pergament paper. So very fine sheets. And that's how we learned about ozone and how he could use it. So this is an elderly lady. It's a client that sent me the images. She was booked for amputation, toe amputation. It was all dying off. They started with rectal ozone insufflations and bagging and oil and water, like the whole concept. And I'll show you how to do that. And within a matter of, you can see here, February 17, and in July 15, the images, mid-May, and then you see how it all blood circulation. And the lady is 85. Healing factors at that age are not strong. We are in a degeneration mode from 50 on to actually get blood circulation back and to get that healing happening. And toes, look at these, they are all healed up front. That's amazing. And it requires dedication. You can see it's not a slow process from July to February. It was definitely a long period, but it worked. And therefore, you know, when you see things like that, and I didn't put some of the images in because they are really scary, but it's something that you can also achieve. And I'll talk about the concept in a moment. So here you see that was actually booked for amputation. The hand didn't heal. It was festering. It was going inside. It was actually gangrene and destroying the nerve and the tendon. And then it started to heal up and completely. This was from an accident, and it had completely festered, that toe, and again healed off. And you see all the studies that are associated with this at the O3 Academy, and then O3 Ozone for wound healing. That's where you will find it. Radiation burns very, very fast. Normally, and I always say, Hiroshima, you wouldn't plant tomatoes or salad because it, first of all, doesn't grow. If it grows mutated, and it's not a healthy environment to, you know, create healthy new cells. So what you do with your ozone treatment and spraying ozone water onto the wound, you have an immediate anti-inflammatory. Then also you activate the healing factor in the skin. You reduce with the oxygen faster support of your immune system. Your white blood cells who actually need to work in that area, they can go and start working in that area, and they have oxygen supply. So this is really, really important. And again, my screen is frozen. So burning wounds, very, very significant. Ozone is used in many ways for burn victims. Again, not in conventional clinics, unfortunately, because ozone is too cheap. And I don't know why, but when you have burning, touched a pot or something, straight away ozone water and then ozone oil on it. And you start always with a lower concentration, and I'll talk about that in a moment, with a coconut, jojoba, and then you go up to safflower and to avocado and to olive oil, which are the low POI values, so that you don't get that in a reaction, a burning. And it's itching. So if you put it on an open wound and you put some of those really hemp power, high power oils on, that can be quite scary. So that's where we focus rather on using something low grade to moisturize, which is also faster absorbed into the skin and used as a means to help with the healing process. See, the job that does the healing is your immune system. It's not the oil. It's not that the oil and cream is more or less just a support for your body to do the healing. So when I put ozone in and it kills bacteria, it kills fungi, it kills mold, it kills all the bugs that got into there, then that's already a massive help. Now I also supply the ozonides that help with the healing, and I supply oxygen that supports my immune system. And that's why the healing process is a lot faster. When we were in Italy, I interviewed in Italian. He spoke Italian, I spoke English. It was kind of a funny interview. Dr. Apuzzo in Rome, and he's a special doctor that focuses on beauty, skin craft, skin care, anti-wrinkle beauty therapy, but also for victims that had burn issues. And he injects tiny little ozone bubbles under the skin so that he can oxygenate that area, and slowly the scar tissue was going back. What you will find when you use normal bandages and everything, after scar, you have very bad scarring. Whereas if you use ozone, it triggers that the scars are dissolved and actually repair without any big residue or marks that they leave behind. And it's always the same. It's ozone water to wash the wound. And I'll talk about that. Then bagging was used to reduce infections and to supply with oxygen, and also to induce the healing. That strong ozone in an insufflation bag or in a treatment bag actually has attributes that expedite that healing of skin. And then they packaged with oil, and that was it. In 2 weeks, that was gone. This one here was 10 weeks from stage 1 to that one. Now, that's absolutely amazing. This one was left way too late. But again, if you would go to the clinic, the only thing they do is give you antibiotics against bacteria. It doesn't help with anything else. And it was eating away, was eating into the flesh and tendons. So ozone treatments, and you can see again on the website, Ozone for Wound Healing, the whole flow of that treatment. And then this was crafted, this was skin crafted on top, but it healed completely up. So you can deal with very, very late stage, very, very challenging problems. Now, some of you remember or know Cheryl Sailman. She is a very good friend of mine. She is the hormone doctor, hormone heresy, for those of you who know. And Cheryl, her mother, was in hospice, and they actually booked her for amputation, because you can see in the left image that her bed sores and her skin was completely open, raw, painful. And that was only the stage where they showed us. They didn't want to show the other parts, but it was pretty bad. So they started to bag with ozone, use ozone oils. And it was really strange. I said, look, get an oxygen bottle, but they were not allowed in the clinic to take it in, so they could use the oxygen generator. So the lowest concentration they could produce, because it was using half liter as a value. So it was only 23 milligrams per liter of ozone, a very thin concentration. And they still achieved such good results that mom was released with her foot intact and could go home. And I think just this alone would be worth all our efforts. And I'm extremely happy about that. And look, even the nurses helped out using the ozone and bagging it and oiling it. So sometimes in hospice, nurses are far nicer than in hospitals where they have to follow protocols. And I'm not saying nurses are bad. They're really beautiful people, very helpful, but they have to listen to what the standard in the clinic is. And ozone, unfortunately, isn't. That's why you have to pay privately to have it. Deborah had a wart, and this was a friend of mine, and she was developing those warts are viral. So it's a viral infection that gets into the skin. You can catch that pretty much anywhere, every door handle, whatever. They usually are at the top of the hand, but you just put a little bit of ozone oil on. Again, start with a low POI, then slowly move up and go to higher POI. See 5 days of oil with 90 POI olive. And then at night, doing the hemp, which is 180. And that's just the saturation. So hemp oil holds far more ozone than olive oil does. And coconut does the least. So when you use an oil that has a high, they're sticky. So it's very good to keep them overnight and let them sit overnight to protect. Then you want to use olive or jojoba or avocado, and they would absorb better into the skin. So they help more with the healing. So very fast, and look, not even any scars left. So it's a really powerful thing. Many of you might have also parodontosis, and it's when the gum resides, because in that pocket, let me just turn on my pencil here. This is the gum, and then you have here the tooth. And we all know we have those pockets in here that are filling up with food residues from chewing, and then it sits in there. Now you can flush it out when you use a dental pick and you go in, you squeeze it and compact it at the bottom even harder, because it's very hard to get right to the bottom. So what you can do is you use one of those dental picks and fill it with ozone water. And as soon as you do, you spray and you wash out that pocket in here really down to the bottom. Now, in the beginning, that will definitely start bleeding because it's inflamed. This area here is massively inflamed. Your immune system has an incredible job to deal with that invasion. And that's why as soon as you start in that area with flushing out, and do that after every meal, every time you've eaten something, you go and clean out with your dental pick, you will find that in a very, very short time, the bleeding stops and then the gum starts to heal. Now, Dr. William Dump, and you know him from my ozone oil bubbling and water bubbling videos, he said you would use a very low grade like coconut or jojoba, and you would put that on a toothpick, a tiny amount, and put that into the areas where you have the biggest inflammation. So you just fill a little bit of that low grade, not high POI, low POI oil into here overnight. And that starts feeding your immune system here. It supports all your white blood cells. It kills off bacteria. It cleans out. And we've been at a trade show, and the guy came with a toothpick, pulled out some of the residue in those pockets and put them under a super microscope. When I saw what's living in there, I started flushing too. So it's definitely something, some microscopes should be prohibited because they really show you critters and animals in your mouth that you don't want to know that are there. So again, this is very powerful. A little bit of ozone oil, you put that in, and that will give you that healing, that faster healing, and then again, flush it out. After 2 or 3 days, you will see that your gum bleeding stops and your problems disappear. Okay. Now, my favorite question, and I just had, since I wrote out the email yesterday, I had probably about 25 of those emails, and let me see. Oh, God. And okay, it doesn't work. It freezes. But okay, now you see me smile. It doesn't help. When you have the same question repeatedly, I thought I'll focus a little bit more today on the treatment locality. And I hate it. I've been reading some blogs out there. Ozone needs to be applied for brain tumor. You need to apply it through the ear and nose so that you get closest to the brain. When I read things like that, that should be prohibited. It's so ignorant. Ozone is a systemic treatment. When you have sinus infection, look at your meridian system out of Chinese meridians. The gut is directly linked to your sinus. It goes directly up to the brain, to your arms. When you look here at your fingertips, do you see the blue fingertips, the little blue dots? I have a pen. Here we go. I have here. These are the acupuncture points that are connected to your sinus on your right and left hand. Now, if you do the same thing and you look here at your toes, the tip of your toes is connected with your sinus. So, what has my toe to do with my sinus? It's all energy flow, meridians. When you look at your teeth, the molars here, those which sit halfway back, are connected to your nose, mouth, sinus, and your upper brain. So these are things that we cannot separate one from the other. And especially the gut is directly linked to all other mucous membranes. So when we do that, I really would like to look into your eyes, and it doesn't work. Oh man, let me see if I cut down the slide shortly, because I want to talk to you and see if that works. Yes, I'm back and it works. Okay. When you have sinus problems, have you ever checked what you've been eating for them to go congested? And that starts my next poll. I close this poll. We definitely have no one really interested in that. So have you ever connected the dots? Yes, I'm aware that when I eat, and I'm talking about me now, any form of dairy, cheese, which I love, and any kind of pudding and tiramisu and my favorite foods, I immediately get brain fog, I get congested nose, and I can almost feel how my cold is coming on for the next day. It's a direct link, and it's my gut that has the stress level with dairy, and all my mucous membranes start to blow up. So I have put the poll here so that you can click something and not just listen. And a lot of you are not aware of that. And there is two main reasons. It can come up to 2 or 3 days later. I eat cheese today. Hey, I'm feeling good, no problem. And then the next day, I might not even feel that it's a little bit onset. And then 2 days later, I feel really crappy. How do I connect that to what I've been eating 2 days ago? So most of you have already connected the dots. I react with extreme gut inflammation on nightshades. Until I figured that one out. You eat vegetables, healthy vegetables, and there is some peppers in there and bell peppers. And I have cramping pain in my gut, in my lower colon. If I eat any kind of grain, and it doesn't matter whether it's gluten-free or not, I get Achilles tendonitis and knee problems. I drop out grain and my problems are gone. This is a very significant factor for those of you who want to heal your sinus or your inflections or your gut, and you keep eating what you've been eating before. What do? Very tired, stagnant, opposing cow up a hill. It's hard to heal. It's very, very hard to get headway. Like if you have a scale, here I do all the things I shouldn't do, eat cheese, eat grain, eat whatever I should, nightshades. And then on the other side, I get worse. My health conditions go down. I can do as many ozone treatments as I want. It won't compensate and give me a relief. Whereas as soon as I know what triggers my problem, and mucous membrane sinus is directly linked with the mucous membrane of your gut. And when we do the gut, I actually show you a beautiful graph, what can go wrong in your gut, from the esophagus, from the stomach, everything down, then the small intestine, then where the pancreas enters. There's so many areas that can go wrong. And all of those areas where you get those pockets, where you get inflammation, where you get any kind of cyst or growth, that is related to some other organ system. Again, like we talked about the meridians. And that is a big issue that you can completely resolve once you figure out what your sensitivities are, what triggers your problem. I react to bleach and to perfumes and chemicals. So if I go into a room where people are with high perfume load, I start sneezing, sniffing, itching, like everything gets out of balance. I have to leave. So my chemical sensitivity is just very high, and it's based on my upbringing. I had no clue about health. I didn't connect the dots. I drank cold, fresh milk out of the fridge every day, a liter or more. And my gut, told me it's not good. It's not good. I had diarrhea. I had hay fever. I had eczema. I had allergies. But I didn't connect the dots. So really important, have a look at what is your main problem that always triggers. And what is really helpful for that is a food diary. And write down, energy level after meal, energy level next day, and really try to follow through until you get those triggers. Oh, shit, that was it. I have a friend in Alaska, and I met with him, and it was really cool. We were sitting in a meeting, and it was totally, vibrant, and everybody had ideas and everything. And he got his food, and we started to eat while we had the meeting. And all of a sudden, you could see he was fading away. And then he sat there, and he could really hardly hold his head up. Concentration was gone. Everything was gone after he ate his cheese sandwich. Now, I told him, you realize that it was the cheese or the gluten from your sandwich that just triggered the reaction. And it was, yeah. Well, it's 2 years ago. If I talk to him today, he says, I'm still eating sometimes cheese. And I know it's shit, but, and I guess we all have that problem. And I'm never pointing fingers, that. I'm not pointing fingers. If I do, then I point them at myself. And if I explain it to you, it's actually retrospect explaining it to myself because I need to hear it more often. The problem is we try to stick to comfort foods we've been growing up. And I guess not many people overeat one food so much until the body says no more. And that's what I managed to do really, really well. And probably some of you too. And I'm happy 66% of you have connected the dots. 23 are, they made the observation and the others had no food sensitivities, which I think is phenomenal. That's something really beautiful. So let me go back to my slides. This is a subject that is pretty dear to me. And I hope we don't have to start the presentation from the beginning. No, it's back where we left off. So my main focus with that whole presentation is that we do not focus on treating individual things. If you want to heal your gut, you need systemic support that helps your immune system to do the repair, but you also need to leave those things away that cause the problem. And look, triggers can be living in a house which has lead paint or you sleep every night on a mattress that outgasses toxins. That can be suppressing your immune system every night, and then you don't get over it. That's why we always say we need to clean up. Cleaning up your environment is really key. Okay. This was my dad shortly before he passed away. This is my uncle, another uncle, and you can see here just above me, that was my dad at the age of 30. That's kind of scary, right? No hair. All my relatives, no hair. So I was pretty scared that I would lose them too. And you can see in the top area, it's thinning. And I'm doing quite a lot to keep them. So I use ozone oils, jojoba or coconut. And I have a little brush that I use. You probably know them. You can get them anywhere. Do you see that? Yep, here. It's a little brush that has those rubber knobbles. And I just put my hand and put all the ozone oil in. And then I go and really rub it in and massage it in so that the skin is vibrantly blood circulated, and then the ozone kills off all the stuff that shouldn't be, supports my immune system with oxygen, and helps my hair to stay. I haven't been able to regrow a lot of hair, but I've stopped the falling out, and that was pretty bad. Now, there are a few possibilities, like, when you're younger and your hair still grows, you can put those, the treatment bag that we have, just use the treatment bag and put that over your head, and then just blow the ozone in from one side and take it out the other, and oxygenate and ozonate the hair. It's a treatment that is well known and done quite often. I never really trust those images. They can be photoshopped, but certainly in my case, and I really, really believe it has helped me stop hair loss dramatically. And it's also systemically. If you have a good immune system and a good, vibrant mineral and nutrient support, and then you kill off infections, bacteria, things that lower, then you have a much better chance to keep your hair. Now, I've restrained from showing you images, and I suggest you do not enter into Google hemorrhoids and then look up all the images. I took graphics. One of the biggest problems that we can deal with in a very, very short time is the infections that trigger hemorrhoids in the rectum, and that is very powerful. Now, the main thing with cleaning, and I will talk about that in a moment, is that you stop using toilet paper. I think I've made a slide for it. Yes, here we go. So no more toilet paper. So when COVID happens again, if we have a reoccurrence, you don't need to worry that you need to run to the supermarket and all toilet paper is sold out. You don't need toilet paper. Get one of those bottles, and it's a pump bottle with that cap that you pull out. Fill it with water. You don't even need ozone water, but you can use ozone water. Fill that up, and then have a little towel in your bathroom where you can hang it up and with your name on, so that you don't do cross bacterial transfer. And wash your butt. Number one, when you wash, I did a workshop once, and I took a young girl and I put pudding and chocolate cream around her mouth. And then I took toilet paper and tried to wipe that off until she was red inflamed. Memory? Some of you, when you try to wipe a sticky goo off, until it burns, until it's inflamed. This is the starting, and what happens? Bacteria enter the bloodstream. Bacteria invade past that skin that you have there. It's very fine. It's a mucous membrane. So you have bacteria invasion. Then those toilet papers have bleach, they have perfumes, they have, fragrances and all that stuff in. You don't want to use that. So put that away. And if you use just for the most, big dirt that you want to wash off, but otherwise use water, then dry, and then put a little bit of ozone oil on. Again, and I start that, this is something that I would like to address when we talk about treatments. Always start with low-grade ozone oils. Check out whether it burns. Check out how your body absorbs. First of all, it's the low grade that we have, and I think I have a slide in here. When you use coconut, is the lowest. It has very little ozone content, so but therefore it's super moisturizing, and it's super rejuvenating. So you want to use that first. If you use jojoba, it's already quite a bit more ozone, still doesn't burn. I use jojoba for my hair, for example. Ears, when I have sinus problems, I use that internally. An open wound, just fell with the bicycle recently, at open knees. That's what I put on. When that first skin has built and it's not burning very much, Then I use olive oil and I go up. And for things like toenail fungus and stuff, that's when you use those heavy duty oils that protect and close that whole thing up. So start the same thing with your rectum with coconut, and then you go up slowly in POI, and that will give you fastest results. You will not have hemorrhoids for a long time when you start cleaning well. And an enema, if you want to, if you have, a lot of people have constipation, and then it's that, that hard pressing, blood vessels pop, bacteria overgrowth, bacteria load entering into the bloodstream. So just wash it properly. I said that story, when we tried to wipe up her mouth, she was red for half an hour, and then you use a bit of water and wash it off, and it's gone in no time. And that's the same, like it's a body part. Shouldn't be something weird to talk about. And that brings me to treatments. Deborah, how does it look? Do we have a lot of questions? I haven't looked at questions at all. Okay, please explain the whole POI thing. Okay, let me just go to oils, slides, just as we have it. And I'll turn my camera off so that you can see here the chart with the POI. Coconut has a very low, and if you go to 3academy.com, you will find under Ozone Oils Explained all the oils, their attributes, how they work, what they're used for, what they're best used for, in the total article, all oils and how strong they can be used and for what they can be used. So you see here coconut very low, then you have jojoba, avocado and olive is almost the same, and then you have safflower. That's actually my old chart. That's just 6, I have 8. So we have hemp, and then if we go up, I think it was safflower was even high. No, that's safflower. We have sunflower somewhere in the middle. It's on the website. You can see it there. But it's really, and hemp is super sticky. If you have safflower and sunflower, very sticky. So it's good to seal and to protect. Whereas these are a lot better absorbed. And even if you just put it between your fingers, and you have those oils, and you just make the test, those high POI, they're really gooey, whereas coconut you put on your hands and it's absorbed. So but therefore it has very little disinfectant attributes and very little oxygen content. Okay, going back, and here we go. First going through the questions. Lyme disease. Okay. Deborah, do I just look for the red dots? Yeah, I'll go down and then I come back up. Ooh, many. Does treating this list of conditions require a medical practitioner? Okay, very good question. Thank you for asking. Now that puts me into, while I answer, and I'll take my slideshow off. It's already off, isn't it? No, slides. Stop slide presentation. Make me big again. Okay, it works. Thanks God. Okay. Oops, it moves away. I am an advocate of going to an ozone doctor. I actually believe it's a huge benefit if you do, because they have the certainty to approach your disease. They will combine, for example, supplementation with your ozone treatment. They might also see what triggers your sensitivities and everything. So it's always of benefit. And if you have a good ozone doctor, like working with Dr. Rowan, wow, it's mind-blowing. And his wife, it's amazing how detailed they work through. So if you find a good ozone doctor and you have one, it's a benefit. But not everybody has. And at the moment, ozone is clamped down dramatically. They close. Even German naturopaths who could use ozone since 30 years, IV, injections, everything, are now asked to stop. There is a huge revelation. and it's not easy to pull that through. So don't think ozone is easy accessible with every doctor, and many of you know that already. And that was, well, my cue to say, well, if I can't get it from a doctor, especially here in Australia, it's completely prohibited, then I need to find or do it myself. And that's why I started to educate myself. I even do IV, I inject under the skin, bubbles, or into the muscle. So I learned how to do it. I learned what to do, and then I tried it out. But I'm an adventurer. My wife always goes like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that. But I'm just too curious. And because I want a treatment, so I just do it. But that's me. A lot of people won't have that bravery or won't be as straightforward. So if you find a doctor, do it. If you don't, you can't go wrong with ozone oils. Just putting them on and using them topically. You can't go wrong if you do a rectal insufflation. And it's an immune booster. If you do it today, you won't feel different. If you do it 3 or 4 days, you may feel a little bit better. It slowly increases your oxygen uptake. And let me just clarify that. If you start using ozone today, then your first red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow with an extreme higher charge. So they are working far better. And they pull oxygen to the hemoglobin and release it a lot faster. That's just a process of hemoglobin activated red blood cell. So when you start using ozone, then you slowly produce more and more and more of those red blood cells, which means you get more oxygen to your tissue, more oxygen to your Krebs cycles and cell. You produce more and more energy, ATP, and over time, you feel better. That's why we call it exercise in an insufflation bag. Slowly, you move towards. Does it change, instantly? No. It might kill locally a few bacteria, but we all know, even if I have just here an infection, we get that circle around, where the body starts working and sending more blood flow. That's what you support. So it's not an immediate treatment. It's a slow motion treatment, but you can guarantee it always works. So do your insufflations, do your oils, drink a glass of ozone water, like just drinking 1 glass of those, and I'll show you in a moment my bubbles, then that means you can easily, this kills Helicobacter pylori, deals with all sorts of mouth infections, gurgle, put it through your teeth, fill it into a dental pick. I fill up a bottle in the morning when I go to the toilet and let it run while I'm at the toilet. Then once I'm clear, everything, bowel movement has happened, then I do an ozone insufflation, use the rest of the ozone water to wash my butt, and then I fill a glass of ozone water and flush my mouth, brush my teeth, do my dental floss, and then I'm done. That's my whole ozone treatment for the day. And if it adds, let's say, 5 minutes to the whole morning routine and cleaning routine, so it's really, really minimal. And that's it. And that builds up more and more my immune system, kills off bacteria, cleanses, and starts to move me into a more oxygenated, into a more healthy and energized state. All right? So you don't need a doctor. You just need to do it slowly and carefully, follow the protocols. And I talk about that in a moment, that you don't overdo it, because we want to start gently and rather do it long. Do it intense. Okay? All right. Sue, what about bacteria? Where did my questions go? They're disappearing. Oh, God. What about the bacteria from the cat bite that gets infected? Yes, local and systemic. So you wash off, you put ozone oil on, and then what do? rectal ozone insufflations, because that is a systemic production of NRF2, of cytokines, communication between your immune system, production of new white blood cells and macrophages. It also triggers heat shock proteins on bacteria so that your immune system can recognize it. Phenomenal. It's a treatment that you do over a week to counteract even snake bites. It's really, really powerful. Okay, I need to go fast. The bottom question seems to disappear. Which one use, please, the dental rinse? Okay, ozone water you use for the dental rinse. You just make ozone water. Let me just switch very short that you see here. I'm bubbling water, and this is something I am sorry about. You know, that cork doesn't hold. It just doesn't. As soon as you used once oil in it or you touched it with greasy fingers, then you know that that cork doesn't hold very well, and it pops out as soon as you build up pressure. So what I've done, I've taped mine because, and this is very important, see, I take here and I take the pipe that goes to the destruct unit and I squeeze that. See, now I squeeze it, and that means water comes out of my container. And I can fill my glass and have my glass to drink. And then in the morning I do that and I fill. And I haven't opened my bottle at least for 4 weeks because it's sterile in there. It's totally sterilized with the ozone water. So I fill my glass. I use that to drink. I fill my bottle to wash my butt. You know, that's something weird to talk about publicly. But, you know, if it helps you, I'm happy to make that a really weird feeling. See, now I have my glass of high concentration ozone oil, putting myself back. Doo-doo. I don't like the taste. I can just simply don't like the taste. See, now what I do is I take this container and let me see if I can show you. So now, instead of opening my bottle, I actually fill, and I need to go higher up so that it actually flows back. Oh, I need to lift it all the way so out of the camera. See, now the container fills again, and I just pour water in. That's why I don't open my water flask at all. I just fill it with this, and you see it? Yep. See, and it slowly drains back into the container. So if I hold it up, it goes a lot faster. So what I do is I fill my water into my flask and I leave my tape up here very elegantly on my bottle. But that's how I keep it sealed and safe and nice. And I just fill it, bubble my ozone water in the morning. And it's a very, very fast process. I have it all set up beside my toilet in the bathroom, which is very comfortable. So I don't need to stress out with carrying things back and forth. And I'll show you also how you can do your ozone insufflations directly with the hose without using an insufflation bag. It just saves you money and it works the same way. So let me explain that later. All right, you've seen that. Okay. They are all disappearing. And can you,
yeah.
Deborah? Yes, I can hear you.
That? Yep. Because I there's so many people on and there's so many comments coming in. I've actually saved them all in a Word document. So I can just read them out.
Yes, please. That's nice.
Cool. All right, so just a really quick one. How can I make sure that ozone is safe to use for me and my clients?
Say that again.
It was a question on the safety of ozone.
Okay.
For her.
Okay. On the website, there is an article, Is Ozone Safe? They did, I think it was 6 million treatments in Germany per year with all the naturopaths and doctors. They did a research, they sent out the paper to every ozone doctor to report back what cases, what was the incident, if there was allergies, if there was reaction, if there was something. And they all came back with the only accident rate that happened, and that's mostly doctors when they do IV treatments, that they have punctured the vein or caused, like the don't know what you call it, but they cause injuries with needles. Rectal ozone insufflations, even though ozone is contraindicated with hyperthyroid, it still had no reactions. So it was cool. And most doctors say, look, I've used rectal ozone insufflation pretty much with every person, and I never had a negative response. I think when you take Panadol, the incident rate was 0.304. And if you have ozone and the incident rate, it was 0.703. So incredible low incident rate. If you don't use needles on yourself, you should be fine. Again, what I say is, when you start rectal ozone insufflations, don't go full beam and start with high concentrations. Start with low. Do the Cuba protocol, slowly build up. First week, second week, third week, you are at the level that you normally would start. A doctor would start you, but because you do it yourself, just start slow. If you have super high candida overgrowth, for example, and you start using ozone, the bacteria die off, and if whatever dies off releases gas. So you might bloat up like a pregnant woman if you are a female, and men look like a beer belly. It's just crazy if you do that, and that could be a reaction that can be minimized by starting with low concentrations, and then slowly increase concentration and volume, and you'll be fine. So no incidents known, but we have a checklist that I give you to download, and that has all the contraindications that are legally listed on there so that you can be safe.
Awesome. Next question. Can you use flaxseed oil instead of olive oil when doing inhalation?
No clue. Not the slightest. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know the attributes. Eric from ozoneoils.com, they produce our oils. And if you go there and you talk to him, you contact them and ask him, maybe he can give you, he's really, really knowledgeable about oils. So if you look for making cosmetics or alterations I can only tell you one thing. Making ozone oil is, with the systems that we use, not really lucrative. You use almost a bottle of oxygen for a small amount of ozone oil, and you'll never get it pure enough like they do. They use completely different equipment, under pressure, cooling. This thing can explode your house. It can burn down your house. So you don't want to do that without knowledge. So rather check with a professional that makes oils, and you'll be safer.
Next question. Is rectal insufflation as effective as autohormone therapy?
The Cuba study and the research that they show from Cuba was that about 5 to 7 rectal insufflations would compensate for 3 major autohemotherapy. And if you do 10 pass, hyperbaric ozone treatment, that would then be 1 compared to a week-long ozone rectal insufflations. And it's just a mathematical question. If you have a doctor around the corner, you have very advanced stages of Lyme disease, I would go there or EBV or herpes or whatever you have, and would have intense multipass to get you started, to get that process, to coming back to energy faster. And then you switch over to rectal and you would go continuously. If you don't have something really, really significant that impairs your life dramatically, I would always start with rectal, because 3 treatments and you pay off the whole device, especially with the price we have today. So you'll be very excited.
Only fear is puncturing the bowel during insufflation. I've read that this can happen. What are your thoughts?
What? The catheter is puncturing?
Yes.
soft. So when you insert, you put a little bit of ozone oil onto the tip, and then you insert. It's very gentle, and you just keep feeding in, feeding in, feeding in, feeding in, feeding in. I put it in all the way, because there is one big thing. If you only put it in that far, then the gas builds up in the pressure zone where you have that urge to fart straight away. If you put it a little bit higher, this way, if you put it a little bit higher, it's already far less pressure and you can hold it. And if I put it all the way, I can walk out of the bathroom and half an hour later go like, and let it go. So it's a comfort thing. So try it out. But I don't think there's any danger. That thing is round at the tip. I don't know if you can see that when I know it's not sharp, but it's round, it's soft, it's smooth, and there is no problems.
Wonderful. Can ozone kill viruses, in particular Epstein?
It kills virus. So ozone is antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-parasites. Even some parasites respond to small ones like flukes, pancreatic flukes, liver flukes. It actually has an influence. There's several studies that we have on the website that show that it kills virus on contact. So when you use ozone, don't think you sterilize the whole body. We consist out of 300 billion virus. They live, they co-inhabitate with us. They reprogram cells. They give us memory. They let us learn. We need them. They're part and package of our being. We have 35 trillion cells in our bacteria in our cell. They digest, they break down food, they extract vitamins and minerals and everything. We need those buggers. We need the whole critter system. We only don't want some to overgrow, to become too dominant. And that's why by using ozone and oxygen, especially the rectal form, you balance out your system. Dr. Emilia Gadhera Serra from Cuba. She was at a workshop in Germany and gave her presentation. And she had several charts, they are on the website as well, where she showed gut biome, a stool test done before, and then they had the treatments, and then she showed the stool test after 4 weeks, and healthy bacteria were still all the same, but the unhealthy bacteria like Helicobacter pylori, Klebsiella, Pseudomonas, all of those things that shouldn't go, off the chart, they came back into a normal value. So don't think you sterilize and kill, you actually just balance. Ozone is balancing, hormone balancing, and immune system balancing, oxygen balancing. So it's not a sterilization when you use it rectally.
Back to me. Which oil would you use for the dental rinse? And also, could you talk shortly about the dental flushing with ozone?
For the dental rinse and washing out, you use ozone water. You fill that into your dental pick, fresh, bubble it, fill it in, and then hose out and flush out your teeth. Then you use in the evening, it actually tastes not nice and it's not a good flavor. You feel like the whole world smells and you smell that ozone. So it's something you do in the evening before you go to bed. Take a little toothpick and then put a tiny dot, a rice grain size onto your toothpick, and then stuff that into the area where you have the bleeding, and start out with coconut, because you will have it will burn in the beginning a little bit, and then once the burning has subsided and you have a little bit cleaner, better skin underneath, mucous membrane, then you go up to the next jojoba, and then you go up to olive oil. And I wouldn't go further than that, because that can actually be quite aggressive. So just for the mouth, stay with the low-grade POIs. Oil pulling was superb for my hair. Yes, I'll start that tomorrow. Thank you.
There was a few questions on oils, which oils are good for eczema and that kind of thing. So I thought maybe we should send them.
Go to the website. Really, has on its own its attributes. Even as an ozone oil, just as an oil, they have super attributes for different things: antibacterial, antifungal, anti-whatever. Skin eczema is not a skin disease. Just to clarify that, it's a deficiency problem in amino acids, in Deborah, you know better. There's a whole range of deficiencies that trigger. It's stress related, and it's often to do with an inflamed gut. We talk about that when we talk about the gut problems. And when you see that whole, 12 meters of gut, and where your infections and inflammations in the gut are, different diseases are expressed. The problem is always the gut. But the problem that you see outside can be rosacea or can be eczema or whatever. So don't mistake that as a skin treatment. Use your rectal ozone insufflation, get good supplementation, reduce food sensitivities and foods that trigger the inflammation, and you will see in no time how that changes.
Yes, that actually brings me to a question that I will shortly answer. Someone asked about pemphigus vulgaris, which is a autoimmune condition. And I just wanted to really shortly mention that I would be careful with using an ozone topically on such a reactive skin condition. And I would opt for rectal insufflation, so going through on that systemic pathway. The only reason I mention that for that specific autoimmune condition is that there is a question with something that's severe with antioxidant capacity. So along with everything you just said with addressing your gut health and your detoxification of nutrients, doing the rectal insufflations would be that systemic effect to bring all that benefits in through that way.
Super. Yeah, look, Marty, as well, I was just reading beside you were asking, the biggest issue is when you have an inflammation, let's say you had a tick bite, you had antibiotics, what is out of balance? Your whole gut biome is screwed up. So what you do is you don't just use ozone to fix it. Ozone helps to heal faster. Ozone provides your immune system with the energy to do the job faster. You still need the building blocks. So you need all the supplementation and nutrition to help heal the gut. You also need to let go of those things that trigger the problem. So it's really, when I look at most of the questions, I get every day about 50 to 100 emails asking for different conditions. And it's actually almost the similar or same answer that I give back, because it really is important that you see your health, like we saw with the meridians. Your fingertips have to do with your nose and your sinus and your toes as well. So we are one human being and we need to balance that system. And that's why, just fingers tapping, did you know that simulates or activates all of your mucous membrane and sinus? You do that with your toes. So there's so many things that you can do. They use acupressure points in certain areas to stimulate blood flow and energy into that area. Don't think there is just one area that you need to sterilize and clean. It's not like house cleaning. Let me just, Deborah, let me just do very short the treatments, and then we go back to question and answer, because I see we're going pretty far off, and for those who don't want to stay forever with us, I would like to showcase the treatments short so that we have at least a common denominator. When you start, okay. So when you look at the ozone treatment with water, for example, a very, very good way is because you can use plastic bottles, it really doesn't matter that much when it's bound in water. but you can also use a glass bottle with a spray head. And there is, from the pharmacy, you can get them, or from those retail stores, a glass bottle with a spray head, and you fill fresh ozone water in. I actually get mine from the tap, from my liquid laundry, and I fill that in, and that is used to wash off, to clean out, to soak. Feet in. When you have toenail fungus, you don't want to just spray over the top. You want to soak so that it really penetrates, opens up the pores, and washes it out. You can rinse and wash and spray on radiation burns where you don't want to rub anything. So you just spray it repeatedly on to get that clearing. It's also those bottles, if you can twist the top nozzle, you can make the stream, so washing out wounds, washing out when you fell a little gravel and stones and dirt out of a wound. So when you have an infection, bacteria, you want to wash out the white pus so that you get actually to the skin. So you can use that spray bottle in that form really well. And you saw it in the picture from Cheryl Seelman's mom. They put those towels underneath, and then they were washing and flushing so that it was all clean before you put on the oil. Now, the other treatment, and this is something that really works well, you put your feet, arm, hand, finger, even, that's Deborah here. If I put myself out of the way, where do I turn off my... Oh, if I turn it off, it's going to freeze again. You see, we taped off, and then you can do topical area. So you just tape off an area, and there is those little bells, those suction cups that you can use. We don't have them because there's not been a lot of need, but they're used more for cosmetics. But if you do that, you can locally sterilize and gas. That's what you do with a higher concentration. You go up to 70 milligrams per liter or micrograms per milliliter and have a higher concentration. But if you do it on dry skin, if you go in and put your feet into the bag and you ozonate your feet while they're dry, you will find they're turning red and they start to itch. It's antioxidant depletion. Your skin uses up all the antioxidants to fend off that oxidative stress. So what you want to do is you soak first, you wash first, and then put your wet feet or wet hands or whatever you have into the bag and ozonate. And that makes a massive difference. You don't get an itch, you don't get reddening, you don't get any infection or inflammation, and it is immediately sealing off, cleaning out, and supporting your immune system. So always do that on a wet wound or background. And then put the oils on. As I said, start with coconut, jojoba, avocado, olive, and only for things like toenail fungus, ulcers, those warts that are growing not outside, but internally at the feet. That's what you then use those safflower and hemp really to get deep and protect and penetrate that area. And rectal. And again, here, systemic daily rectal ozone insufflations for safety reasons start slow. And you can see the chart here. It's on the website under rectal insufflations. The Cuba protocol, you start with a low concentration and with a low volume. You start out with 1 liter per minute. You don't need to go that low. Do it with 3/4 of a liter at the beginning, which makes about 16 milligrams of ozone. And then you use a small amount of 150 milliliters. And then you do that for a few days. If you don't get bloating, if you don't blow up like a balloon, if you don't have any discomfort, some people, they have so many bacteria die off that they actually get nauseated. And it's something you need to figure out for yourself. And look, I really think slow and steady gets far further than those who sprint off and then run out of energy. So do it in a steady motion and build up. until you get to the last stage, which is, a quarter liter. And that is what all research studies use. Every research study is based on a quarter liter, which is about 40 milligrams of ozone per liter, or 40 micrograms per milliliter. And that is with 250 milliliter, very tolerable, easy amount. So don't start with that, build up to it, but it works. And if you look here at my chart, if you do 250 milliliters, it's probably just that. If you do a little bit more because you want more help, just put a little bit. I always use 750 milliliters. And now I realize it doesn't change. It doesn't give me a faster effect because it's the reaction that is created through NRF. Oh, that's hard to write. F2. That's what you want. NRF2 is a healing response of the body. It triggers self-healing, cellular energy, rejuvenation, apoptosis. It's really powerful. So, and now look at the portal vein. Do you see that? The portal vein connects all of your thing to the liver. Everything goes into the liver. Every vessel goes through the portal vein, everything collected into the liver. And that's where your body works, detoxifies, and has that massive breakdown of toxins, flushes out, activates hormones. This is a very important organ, detox organ and survival organ. And it's very rejuvenative as well. So if you feed oxygen, if you feed all the reactions that you get through ozone from that tiny little fart down here, then that is supporting your whole system, systemic treatment, and not just locally. All right? And that brings me to my last one. Don't wash your butt, because that's a sensitive part where you use ozone. Just don't clean with paper. Keep it clean, and that's it. So I'll just do safety, and I will go now and files to download ozone checklist. I press delete. Oh, God. Deborah, do you still see it, or is it gone for you too?
No, I can still see it.
Oh, good. Press share. There's two buttons. One is delete, and the other one is share, and I was too fast. Working? Or did I delete it?
I think you may have deleted.
Okay. I'll send it to all of you who were in the webinar. I'll send it out separately. I'm sorry for that. That was my mistake, pressing too fast the wrong button. Okay, so side effects, you can see, again, we don't go through here. You have the list and the checklist and the, like I said, when you do ozone on dry skin, you don't have enough moisture. You're not soaked well enough. It happens often when you go into a steam sauna with ozone and you are not yet steamed enough, cooked enough, soaked enough, and you put too much ozone in, then you get that reddening and the rash. So always when you go into a steam sauna, first have steam so that everything is saturated with moisture and water, and then turn on the ozone towards the end to give you that effect, but not earlier. Very important. And that's safety. And now I'll just show you very short our special offer, and then we go to question and answer. I don't know why. It's a sad thing, we are maybe 4 ozone sellers, four people, and everybody seems to fight with each other, or I'm not fighting against them, but they do against me. And somebody has announced that our ozone generator doesn't produce accurate values. And I thought, I'll just clarify that. Oxygen bottle, flow regulator going through. And if you read, this is a reading where all devices are read. Every device that we send out went through a check, quarter liter, eighth, and then the other side, the up and down. And look, we had at 132, we should 99. What do we have? 100 milligrams per liter. Then here, 92 instead of 9. Oh, my picture is in the way. Oh, God. Where do I go? Settings. and move me to the other side. So now you see, and what is most important is quarter liter and eighth of a liter. That's the two main, the green one and the yellow one. So they are absolute accurate here with 71, with 42.6. And if you look here, 42.5, 42.7, we do not sell anything that is not proven to work. We're CE approved and we have all the credentials. So I would not do something like that. And I just thought I'd clarify that. Ozone bundle, we have a special because we were waiting so long for new supply. They arrived and we have 24 in stock. So for those of you who are interested, we have it for, instead of 1440 in 2 years, which is Australian dollar 2070 at the moment, we reduced to 1100 or Australian 1600, and I think Canadian is pretty much the same rate as we are. So the shopping cart calculates, and that's only during the webinar today. So for those of you who want to have that deal, that's $200, $340 discount. That's huge. And it comes with all the oils. It comes with the bags, with treatment bags, with the whole kit, all the glassware for oil bubbling, for water bubbling, and with the whole training, how to do it, plus our business module. But I'll talk about that at the end after our Q&A. All right? So for those of you who would like to get the bundle offers, hey, I'm slowly getting there. Start and publish. You can click the button. Is it? Yes, it's there. So you can press the button and order your bundle while we go through questions. And again, we have 24 in stock. It should show that in the cart. And I would hope that you get yours as well. All right, questions.
Awesome. All right, so I'll just continue off from where I'm at.
Good.
Is there a die-off, and can it make us feel worse at first?
Yes. If you have high bacteria overgrowth, it can. That's why I said start slow, low concentration, small volume, low concentration oil. Water doesn't really matter. You can drink as much as you like. There's not really a big problem.
Cool. I just saw Jacqueline write, so only today for the deal.
Yes. Well,
Actually,
let's say it that way. I'm in Australia. It's early morning. So we have 24. I have, after this webinar, another webinar. And then that's why I can't guarantee. If we have left over, you can probably come back tomorrow. But I have that second webinar, which is with a big podcast, and they have a lot of readers. So that's why I'm not, I'm not a salesperson to make pressure, but it is, we were waiting for those ozone bundles now. They were in Singapore, and after they closed down Singapore, they were sitting there for 4 weeks. So we were sold out. They arrived 2 days ago, and that's why they will probably go quite fast. So I'm not making pressure. The price stays until they're gone.
Wonderful. However, just before I jump into questions, there's individuals mentioning that when they click the offer that you can't go through with the purchase. So I'm not sure what's happening there.
Why?
Apparently the page isn't adding it to the cart. That's...
Would you mind just writing me, Deborah? Just go and turn to, just write down the email address. So send your email address to contact@trulyheal, and we'll put one away for you. So that shouldn't be a problem.
If you send an email to either of those two, then we'll put that aside.
Yeah, I'll give you a call after the webinar and then we can process over the phone. Should work the same way. Sorry for that.
All right, a question.
Technicalities.
Always a technical glitch. Ozone and cancer, that popped up a few times. So is rectal ozone helpful with systemic cancer?
There was a comment recently, you know, there's so many different research studies and papers that go around, and some say it's not good, some say it's good, some say it upregulates NRF2, which is not good for cancer, but it's good for prevention of cancer. It's also good for anti-metastasis, so it doesn't spread. Orders are coming through, so I actually see that they're coming through. So the card seems to work. Just write down the email and then we'll put one aside. The problem with cancer is that it's such a multifaceted disease. You know, when we started to research cancer, we went into all the treatments for cancer and we still had no results. This and this and lateral, you know, like we were more or less using everything that had anti-cancer properties and yet no results. So what we found is that we need to address the root cause. And as soon as we started to do that, like I have in my other webinar that we do with Deborah does, where she explains 3 breast cancer patients, all 3 have 3 completely different reasons for their disease, and how we analyze that, how we find that. That's functional medicine. So one may have EBV virus, and then ozone would be a dream treatment and would kill the EBV, would boost the immune system, and would help to recover the immune system. Whereas the lady who has dental problems, you know, with amalgam and bacteria overgrowth from root canal and all of that, she can use it as long as she wants. It won't help. If somebody has food sensitivities and allergies and lives in a house with formaldehyde and you use ozone, probably it might hold the balance a little bit, but it depends which is stronger. Does the cancer go away if you don't remove the cause? Probably not. See, functional medicine addresses the cause of disease. And if we could go back to my flower power mind map that I showed you in the beginning, what would be the result when you see that? The result would be that you have different factors that are supported in your system. You have different factors that make your immune system work perfect. So, and that's what we want. And if you are not sure if it will help you, just book a consultation with Deborah. It's not expensive, and she will go through with you based on your symptoms, based on your environment, based on who you are. You will see the whole thing come a lot closer to know which treatments would suit for you, which problems you need to remove out of your world for healing to happen. So saying it's an anti-cancer treatment would be stupid. And I stand to that. And again, there is so many claims on the internet. You know, I cured cancer with ozone. Rubbish. You might have bacteria overgrowth, and that suppressed your immune system, and therefore cancer had a chance to grow. And if we use ozone, it actually reduces your bacteria, and therefore your immune system gets back on track. You alkaline your body, you get more oxygen to your white blood cells. They need 100 times more oxygen to the respiratory burst. And then when they catch bacteria and they kill it, they need again 100 times more for the oxidative burst to build the hydrogen peroxide. So you cannot say it kills or destroys cancer. It removes that which drives your cancer, supports your cancer, and pushes your cancer. And then you can actually say it's a very valid cancer treatment. But I need to come back to how I started. We asked a lot of doctors. You know, there's research against and for it. So what do we believe? And Dr. Herzog said it very nice. He said, Marcus, we stopped using ozone based on, I was cautious. I thought maybe some truth to it. And our mortality rate went up. And they have hundreds of patients every year. He said, we started to reintroduce ozone and we went back to before or even better because I was starting to be convinced and used it more regularly. And every doctor came back with the same statement. Once they dropped out of ozone, their mortality rate went up. And that's, for me, reason enough to go for it, to do it. And again, start slowly, build up generally, and increase your oxygen levels and your immunity. And then you will see that everything else falls into place. It's not a fast treatment, but it's proven to work.
Okay. All right, just shortly, a couple of questions that popped up recently. That was a question on where the generators are made, and also on that, the quality of the air supply with the different tanks with each refill.
Okay. The ozone generators are assembled in China. We have an Italian spark chamber, a Chinese electronic to fire it, because they are for the German ozone generators. And we have the metal casing and the fan is assembled in China. So all the ozone and insufflation bags come from Canada, the treatment bags as well. The catheters come from Germany. It's like an assembly of different, the ozone oils come from America. So we pulled pretty much everything together that was working best. And the ozone generator has a titanium spark chamber, which is in the same device. The same spark chamber is in the Humaris device, which is a $4,000 ozone device. It's in all the Tatzmann. They all have the same kind of spark chamber that we have, and it's proven to work. There's no contamination. They're clean ozone, and they are, lifetime warranty on the generator, on the spark chamber, if you don't put water or oil into it. That's the only problem. You use those stop valves that come with the ozone generator. That's actually the only problem that can go wrong. This little ozone stop valve, I hope you can see it, this lets the air go out of the generator into your hose. Now, if you have a back pressure and something presses through into the generator, whether that's oil or water, then that's when they die. And that's the only reason we got ozone generators back. And otherwise, they last for eternity. I have mine since years and it's working. And tanks. Okay, thank you. I remembered myself. Tank, they're filled at the same machine. So whether you get industrial or medical, they are filled at the same machine. The only difference is they are aluminum, whereas the white ones, the medical ones, are aluminum, whereas the other ones are steel. Now, it's not a problem to have a steel tank with oxygen, except if they are old and battered. When somebody, let's say they have them in a welder's shop, and in the welder's place, they don't close them properly, they leave them open, and moisture gets in, then they get inside that little corrosion. Again, nothing dangerous to you, absolutely nothing. You probably are anyway iron deficient, so it's not a problem. But the problem is you get those yellow lines. That's the only thing. So I always say, go and get a newish bottle. And I say that. I say, look, I use it at home for art, because don't tell them that you're buying one for ozone insufflations. They are not allowed to sell you medical oxygen. It's the greatest idiocy. And again, it's to keep you sick and not support you in health. And that's why don't buy into that. Oxygen is oxygen. And if you get a newish bottle, you know that you can see it from the outside, whether they have been used in a welding shop or not. So get a newer bottle, tell them you have them in your art studio and you would like to have a nice one. And that always works. Just be a bit charming. Or tell them you're breeding fish. And you know, when you pack a fish to transport, you fill in water, you blow up the bag with oxygen so that they survive the transport. And that's how I usually tell. It was so funny. I came to a store and he said, I don't know, it seems to be a new fashion. There's so many people breeding fish these days. So, okay, that was me. So it's just an excuse that you can use.
A good one. The issue is to choose a medical or industrial. What's the difference?
Industrial. If you are not a doctor or naturopath who can show the license and say that you have a prescription for medical oxygen, they don't give it to you, and they are stubborn as hell. So get the industrial, you'll be fine. We use, Sabrina, everybody, we use all industrial. 90% of our sales are industrial. And doctors and clinicians, they use it in the medical terms, but it's the same oxygen. And I have both in the bathroom. I have the industrial here for demo. I have the medical, but they are the same. And you don't even notice a difference.
Wonderful. Does it come with training when you purchase?
What?
Someone asked, does it come with training when you purchase?
Yes, that's why we made a whole academy. We show you exactly every treatment, everything, how to use it for infectious diseases, how to use it for cancer, how for vascular problems, how to use it as an immune booster. If you have herpes, if you have genital herpes or infectious diseases, you know, everything there. Vaginal insemination. Next webinar is about sexually transmitted diseases and immune boosting and dealing with infectious diseases. We're not saying COVID. So look, this is they chase us wherever they can because they want to sell a vaccine and not ozone, right? Deborah, you're not talking with me anymore.
No, it just froze on my screen shortly, so I wasn't sure if you were still talking or not.
My video froze. Anyone else? No?
No, it just freezes every now and again a little bit, but it hasn't been too bad. Can ozone water be stored in BPA-free container or insulated bottles? And how long can it be stored for?
Okay. As this is a treatment that you normally do after you get out of bed or before you go to bed, I would recommend you do it fresh. The ozone water has a half-life of 2 hours. So the maximum saturation, let's say you bubble it for about 20 minutes and you bubble it with a concentration of ½ liter, which is 23. The maximum saturation that water can achieve is 26, no more. So when you have 26 milligrams per liter of ozone in the water, then that's 100%. Now you go and put it in the fridge and keep it cold in a closed bottle. Then after 2 hours, it has half the concentration. So it's instead of 26, it's 13 milligrams of ozone, which is gentle. Again, after that, another 2 hours, you would have just 8, and that's too little to have an effect. So rather, really do it like I do. I've perfected my method and I'm proud of it. I have it in the bathroom. In the morning, I go into the bathroom. When I go to the toilet, I fill up water, bubble it. It's done. I use it for everything else to flush off. I spray my hair with it, you know, that my hair stays nice. Now I'm doing oil pulling and it's great. And that's done. That's it. You don't need to do more. If you drink 1 glass a day, that's what they do during studies to kill off Helicobacter pylori. 3 weeks of ozone water, 1 glass like this, and that's it. So we don't need to do more to help more. It's the effects that come from ozone.
All right. What happens if you do not use a tank with the setup? What happens?
Okay, without a tank, it doesn't work. So you need oxygen to blow into the ozone generator. And if you have the ozone generator connected to, how do you call it, an oxygen machine, so that the oxygen concentrator blows in. Then the problem is that the flow is quite high. So you can't turn them down to less than half a liter. So you get only the very low concentrations of ozone out. You need to slow the air down to a quarter liter or to an eighth of a liter per minute to get high concentration. Depending on the speed that the air goes in and out, the speed determines the concentration. So there is a little device. We have a few. I just had a few made to test. If you want one, just contact me. I would still go with the oxygen bottle, just me, because it's so convenient. This big bottle that I have here, I don't know, you don't even see it. I'm talking about always and touch it, but I don't show it. Let me just go. Where's my slideshow? And stop slide presentation, make myself big. Here we go. Ah. Oh God, this is a monster bottle. Here we go. See, that's my big bottle. It's a huge bottle. That lasts me already almost a year. And if I open it up, I'm still half full. You know, get the small D size. They're called D size. And again, on the website is a chart where I show you the size. Just get the D size, and they last you usually half a year to a year without a problem. So don't stress out with massive bottles and heavy. That was me just thinking I would do something special. Don't need to. Small bottle, that size, lasts you long. And then just get it refilled for $30, $40, and that's it.
Okay. Rectal insufflations, how many a day would you do?
One insufflation a day. That's the studies. You don't need to do more. I tried for a while to do 2 a day, and it didn't change anything because it's the reaction that comes. See, Paula wrote an article how dangerous rectal insufflations are because it kills off bacteria in the colon, in the rectum. Where do all your bacteria that are produced in your colon and small intestine, where does that all go? Within 2 hours, your rectum is recolonized. It just pushes more from the top down. So don't ignore those comments. They're really not helpful. 30 years of experience that rectal ozone insufflations have full effect. They work. So just once a day, trigger. The only thing which diminishes the effects is if you have stool in there. So let's say you squeeze your catheter and you squeeze that through a pile of poo. Well, and then you release the ozone, it doesn't really do a lot. Usually, because of the ozone, it triggers a bowel movement. So if that's the case, then clean out the bowel. And then if you want to, you can even do an enema and then do the ozone again. It really makes it super easy. The cleaner your bowel is, the cleaner your colon and rectum is when you do the treatment, the more effect it has. So instead of doing it twice or 3 times a day, rather do it once with a proper, after you had a bowel movement. And, you know, when I go and have a bowel movement, it's empty. And then I can easily do my treatment. Some people, they suffer from constipation or from very fatty stool, which is sticky and gooey. So in those cases, I would recommend an enema beforehand or twice, so that the first one triggers the bowel movement and then the second one has effect. Never thought that I would talk about my bowel movements on the internet.
So publicly, right?
It's kind of strange.
Another question, how often should tubes, syringes, and insufflation bags be replaced?
You know, I thought, I have here a beautiful 10-pack brand new. I thought, I'm not opening that. So I'm showing you here my catheter that is probably 2 months old. And I wash it every single time when I come out. I take my syringe. Again, this is really private stuff. I use my syringe that comes with the pack, and I soak up water, soap water or normal water, warm water, and then I flush it 2 or 3 times so that it's all clean. And then I clean it from the outside. This thing lasts for half a year if you keep it clean. There is no problem. If you don't want to clean it, don't want to touch it, or then you get a few more catheters. They come in 10 packs, 20 pack, or 40 packs, and they're not expensive. So, you know, as a family, I wouldn't share. I would actually use my own, but it is a simple thing. And these are super ozone resistant. We actually had the company make them for us because they normally are thicker. And I said, if we use them, we have a lot of clients that use them for bladder infusions when you have a bladder infection for females. And so we wanted the thinner version. So they made them, and they are super sturdy. They're super high quality, and they last for eternity. And we have 10,000 of them. I should actually sell you more.
So we had just a few questions surrounding is ozone good for arthritis, tendinitis, and stroke? But I believe we answered that when you went through conditions in general.
Cardiovascular is an article on the website that covers every aspect of it. It's powerful because it's a blood thinner. It activates, it cleans out the membranes of your blood vessels. It's phenomenal. So just read that article. It will give you lots of insights.
Where do we get oxygen tanks and refills?
I have an article about that. I guess you're in America. Prax Air, fresh gas, air liquide, box or BOC. There is so many. Just look for local welding supply or local gas supply. We get them at Bunnings, here in Australia, at any building depot, normal store. You go in, say you would like industrial oxygen for your fish tank, and you get it. It's no problem. You get them everywhere. You can rent bottles like the barbecue bottle, and then when it's empty, take it back and get a fresh one, or you can have them filled. It really depends where you are, but that's a minimal cost.
All right. Kind of got a few.
Do we have any left?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, keep going.
What about ear insufflation through a stethoscope? Okay,
I have never liked that, and I say that very, very honestly. I think this is a bloody stupid concept because you build pressure up, and those things, they squeeze quite hard. I ordered them because I wanted, like everybody else, have that stethoscope, and I thought, oh, cool, I do ear insufflations. And when I went to Germany, I asked all the doctors, why don't you use them? And they said, because it's idiocy to use them. This bottle has 20,000 PSI, huge pressure. That goes through your ozone generator and it goes into your ear and builds up pressure on your drums. Again, it's dry inside your ear, mucous membrane, dry skin, irritation, itching. A lot of people, they walk around and have fire red ears. Don't do that. Do it. I have a video on there. Take a Q-tip, like those ear swabs, and dip it into water. You don't even need ozone water. Just dip it into water, put it on the top of your syringe. You stick it on. All the accessories are in the box. And then you fill, let's say, 40 milliliters of ozone into your thing. And then you lead that in. You make your ear wet inside with that wet ear swab. And then you slowly blow in, and I'm done. Okay, I fill my syringe again, go to the other ear, make it wet inside, blow in, and my whole ear treatment is finished. No irritation, no itching, no nothing. Really, you know what is quite irritating? When people become inventive and creative without following tradition. And I am in a medical field, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not inventing new stuff. I'm not a producer. I have studied with, in my opinion, the best doctors around the world. And if they do it with this, well, then that's what I teach you. And the stethoscope, throw it out and put it away. That was emotional.
Okay, something just recently popped up. That was a question: can you put ozone oil in an enema if you can't afford the setup?
It doesn't really help. The problem is with the enema and ozone water, it's as soon as the water gets a little bit...
It was oil.
Sorry?
It was ozone oil.
Ozone oil as enema? That sounds like very Indian, like those ghee enemas. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to answer that. I know there's new things with nutrition through enemas and treatments through enemas. I don't know. I really have no experience. I can't answer that. Try it out and let me know.
Can you use an oxygen generator instead of oxygen tank?
That's what I said. Yes, if you want to use an oxygen generator, let us know. Send a short email to contact@trulyheal. Deborah sent the address already. And then we'll check out to give you a little device. And I think it's only $90. And that reduces the flow rate from your generator down to 1/4 liter and to 1/8 of a liter. I only have 10, Sabrina, we only have 10, I think, in the storage. We just had to take up, and because I have an oxygen generator, I couldn't take them, so they work. The flow actually is reduced. So let us know. Normally, I suggest bottles, but it works with the oxygen is the same.
Okay, we had a question on whether or not you would be able to show the insufflation bag, how you fill that up and the process with that. Top,
and we go here. Now I disconnected my bottle from moving it around. Let me just connect that again. Okay, I connect my bottle. I set it to a flow rate of 1/4. I'm sorry, you can't see that right now. Now I connect the bottle and I connect the power. I take this off. And is it visible in the screen? I'll turn it this way so that you see it better. And now yes. Where's my insufflation bag? Here we go. Take the water out of the way. Oops. So. And the destruct unit out of the way so that we have just what we need. Okay, now we take the insufflation bag and put that here and connect it to the outlet. Now that's important. You don't want this closed or squeezed when you turn it on. So just pull it out so that it's free and not squeezed or clamped. And also when you have it and you store it like that, this little clip here is actually, can you see it? I don't know if you can see that. It squeezes the plastic. So now I open up and the plastic is often dented if it stays too long. So just make sure that that's an easy flow. So you have that, you connect that to your, it's now upside down for me, to your concentrator. You turn on the ozone machine, and now I open up the bottle and hold my finger here. You see that? I think, no, this way. See, and now it fills, oops, see, squeezed. Now it fills my first chamber. And that's what I want. I just want the first chamber because that's 200 milliliters. I want that nicely filled. I don't need to stress if it fills a little bit more because a bit of it goes anyway lost. So I fill that department completely. And once that is filled, then I turn off my oxygen bottle because I don't need more oxygen. I turn off my ozone generator. And now I clip my clip here closed and open up here. Now this is in the bag and I can connect my catheter to this. It's all nicely Lurelock. It's a very nice system to fit to everything. Now I dip this into a little bit of oil so that the tip is lubricated and I have my bag. Then you go to the bathroom, insert that as far as you can into your butt, and then you take your bag. And this is something that I always say, very important. You open up the clip, then you roll your bag. See, a lot of people just crumble. And when you crumble it, it breaks. It has a tendency to those seams to open up or to break. So what you do is you just fold it nicely and roll it up like that. I've closed it still. So now I open it up, one hand. Here we go. This way. Okay. So now it's open and now I roll it and gently squeeze that fart up the butt. And that's pretty much it. Once it's done, you see your bag is not kinked, not broken, not anything. They last for eternity. Now I have a very severe smell of ozone in here, and that is it. So very, very simple. And then you tidy that up, wash your catheter, and you're done. The same way, you connect here your syringe. You connect that, and it's still, see, oxygen is still coming. So I turn it on. It fills my syringe nicely and slowly. This way you see it better. See, now it fills the syringe. And now I have that. And I can fill it to where I need it. Ozone off. Turn it off. Now switch camera back to me. And now you take that with a Q-tip. Put that, even if you don't, just make your ear wet inside with water. And then just blow that gently in. And you will feel it's warm. It's a very nice warm feeling. There's no pressure buildup and all bacteria and everything is dying off. And you do that 3-4 times a day with water, with clean, and every ear infection is gone. Okay. All training videos, how to do it, are on the website.
Yes, that was another question where they can find that, but I have sent the link out. What is the minimum amount of time one needs to bubble ozone through oil? And is ozonated oil more therapeutic than castor oil for topical use?
Okay, I don't produce oils and I wouldn't be able to tell you. I just know that those people who make ozone oils, they have a laboratory because they test, and Deborah, you probably know that better than I do. They test for linoleum or whatever it is in olive oil, you know, the toxic residue until it's completely clear. You find that on my article about ozone. And until it's clean, until it has all those residues gone, it takes a long time. So I wouldn't suggest you do it yourself. It heats up, it gets very hot. It can actually cause burning and explosion. So if you're not familiar with making ozone oils, check YouTube. There are a few videos. I've tried them. And then I bubbled for 3 days and it was still not really thick. And it's a process to learn. I wouldn't talk to somebody who does it professionally.
Okay, question on candida and vaginal insufflations.
Yeah, we have that next webinar in 2 weeks. We have a webinar on exactly that subject. Powerful. Again, it's a mucous membrane, a very, very fine skin that you don't want to ozonate dry. So again, you flush with ozone water, or you bubble the ozone through water before you insert into vagina, so that you have a moistened, lubricated gas. That works as well. After my last webinar, several doctors called me and said, you can also bubble through water and then insufflate, or bubble through oil, and it really helps. Just not dry. That's the only thing you need to watch out for.
Vision.
Kevin, I've hit it 100 times, still nothing. Kevin, just send an email to Deborah. She'll put it away.
Yes, I've already received the email.
Okay.
The funny thing is, with the messages in the chat box, some disappear and some stay. So it's really hard to stay organized and on top of what questions are next.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's only 4 left. Okay.
Let's have a look what I can find in my list. Ozone healing for a process. Someone has a leg amputated. I believe we've already answered that.
It's the bagging and the water, especially when you have an amputation, where the prosthesis, whatever you call it, sits. It's often infected, inflamed, and due to pressure. It's the same if you have too small shoes on and things like that, where you put too much pressure on. That area soaking with ozone water, spraying, really soaking it, then putting the bag on, and then going in with a bit of ozone oil overnight just to regenerate. You will see it's amazing.
I did find another question here. Why do my lure locks disintegrate? Is there a particular reason after doing rectal insufflation?
Would you repeat that? I was reading another question in the meantime.
Lure locks. So apparently this individual's lure locks have disintegrated.
On which part? On which?
I don't have more information for you.
Okay.
After doing a rectal insufflation.
So the lure lock itself, that's super hard plastic. That's like glass. They are really hard. That's the part that is normally said. What do you clean them with?
Well, we'll see if a comment comes back up. All right, so protocols on
So
the
drink,
different-
Deborah, there's a question. It was mentioned that 20 minutes after drinking, half the strength of ozone water has reduced. When you drink it, the effects of ozone happen within 10 seconds. Full stop. You drink, and the effect has happened as it goes down into your stomach along the esophagus. There's no diminishing. When you store your water for 2 hours, then you have half life. Then you have half the capacity. So if you drink it then, the effects are only half as strong. So that's why I say make it fresh, drink it fresh in the morning, 1 glass, and you're done for the day.
Question on different protocols where they can find them. For example, the Candida again, chronic sinus infections. So should I just post the O3 link into that?
Chronic sinus infections is a very, very bad thing. So what you do is you use, again, if you blow up ozone directly into your nose, you know the process. You fill your lungs first, then you blow up. Now, if you do that on dry nose, what happens? Irritation, skin, swelling, itching, whatever. You don't want that. So use a neti pot beforehand to lubricate, snot your nose, whatever you want to do to make it wet inside, and then use ozone, and then you don't get those side effects.
Comments on ozonated bath.
Yeah.
Whether that is something you would do.
I would call the healing properties minimal. We have an ozone pool. Here we have an ozone spa. We have ozone shower, ozone water everywhere because it's just cool. The water is beautiful. It feels like spring water out of a well, fresh, but it doesn't have big healing properties. It's just clean, chemical-free, clean water. They use it to clear sludge and chemicals out of wastewater. So just think of it as a beautiful spring clean water and antibacterial water and sterile water, but I wouldn't call it healing properties. The steam, to a degree, if there's very little ozone, but as a ozone water itself, it's more beautiful than it is healthy. Rectal ozone insufflations. That's pretty much it. That's 80% of your treatment. Everything else is a bonus on top.
Yes, well, that was actually another question, what your favorite treatment is. But I think you already answered that.
Favorite. I hate them. No favorite. It's just what works. If I would be able to do my major autohemotherapy with the needle, but the problem is if you do that a few days in a row, your veins really harden up, and it's not a treatment that it's a big needle. And you can see when you have patients coming for IVs or regular to treatments, that's the main problem they have when they go to a cancer clinic. That's why many of them get a port built in, because that is the problem. Non-stop those needles. And that's why don't go there, do the rectal, and it works. It takes a bit longer, but the effects are the same.
So another question on eye health and doing the eye drops for specific conditions such as macular degeneration. Is that in this? Is that in a future webinar, or can they find a protocol somewhere?
Would you repeat that? I didn't. It was breaking up a little bit.
As in eye health, so the eye drops.
Eye drops. Yeah. We will do. I wrote the answer back. The lady wrote already for macular degeneration and everything. I've asked 2 doctors who use ozone with that to come with me on the webinar because I have personally no experience. They showed me how to make the ozone eye drops, but that's it. So I would hope that I get moral and knowledgeable support on that one.
Perfect. Well,
that's it.
Well, look, I probably have missed a couple of questions, but I've put my email in there so that they can email us in case you miss anything.
Feel free to contact us. I will just go through very short. I guess a few of you, do we still have people on board? I don't. I had a lot of left. Okay, almost half. Yeah, it's been very long. I will go through for those of you who've been waiting for this to happen. Just shortly, we have an issue with advertising ozone, and Google has taken us completely down with ozone. We were on page 1 and we're now on page 50. We were on page 1 with hypothermia, with ozone, with everything, and it's completely disintegrated since October last year. Now, the next problem is we cannot advertise ozone treatment because Facebook has taken it down. YouTube is taking it down. It's getting really critical. As soon as you have any medical claims, they cut you down. The next part is the processing, payment processing, PayPal, Stripe, and everything. As soon as you use non-FDA approved treatments, talk about them, they take you down too. Dr. Schallenberger called me and said, take my videos down. We are under attack. So it really is something that we need to do as a word of mouth. And the possibility that comes from that is actually that you can get involved. And I found that not bad because we are working at the moment with a lot of affiliates that reach out to their audience. So if you have a Facebook group, if you have whatever, and you tell them, you don't need to tell them anything. You don't need to share knowledge or praise or anything. just tell them if you have infections or infectious diseases or open wounds, just watch here. And we are recording this series of webinars now as an ever webinar, which means it can be repeated. And then you can go and do the lead your people to that webinar. You can lead them to that recording, and that's all you need to do. But the link that you're using is an affiliate link. So when somebody purchases, you get a commission out of the payment. And I have a lot of affiliates that earn quite well. Now, for those of you who, and that's on Healthy to Be, up on top, you can see Healthy to Be. Up on top is affiliate area. Just go there, sign up as an affiliate. It opens the page. If you have purchased anything from us, log in first and then fill out your affiliate details. And that will give you your affiliate code. And our affiliate manager will send you an email how to do it, how to advertise, how to market, how to put it out, and to earn residual income. It's actually quite lucrative. We have a very high conversion on Ozone, and it's a very good commission. Now, if you have a following, and that's something, like you run a podcast, you have a group, you have a 40 plus fitness, whatever you have, and you would say, look, I have a few hundred people that I share knowledge with or that I'm associated with, then you can invite them into a webinar with me. So what you do is you become Deborah and you help and ask questions, and we go through and we teach together, and that becomes your landing page. So we have several landing pages now with different hosts, and they send traffic to that page. I do a little webinar and 2 different podcasts with them, and that leads to the page, and that gives them an ongoing revenue, an ongoing income stream, because it's out there. And believe me, I did put a website out, our coaching website for coaches, no advertisement, no SEO, no nothing. And I have 460 subscribers on that page. It's amazing. So once something is out in the internet and people start sharing and start passing on, they use your affiliate link, and that will generate more and more income. That's how we live. That's how we lived during our whole tour around the world. That's what we did for many, many years to create that residual income, and it's grown into a huge thing. So it's something you can do. If you have a large following, a group, or just a small one, doesn't matter, and you think that's something you want to do, just take that contact at Truly Heal, send an email, I have a following, and then we'll set you up. I'll do the webinar with you, and then we'll have fun and share the information and the knowledge. Or you can lead people to an existing webinar, and that's fine too. And then if or any other device, you will be rewarded for your help in reaching new people. Okay? That's pretty much it. So that's the opportunity, either as affiliate or as a power affiliate. We call that the partner program. And that will give you, for quite some time, really, really good income that can always help. Buy supplements and buy treatments and buy whatever you need. It really is a great thing. Good?
Awesome.
Stop slide presentation, turn camera back on to say goodbye. No more questions. Thank you all for joining. It was a pleasure to be with you today. And I'm very excited to speak with you next time about infectious diseases.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.